After the city of Flint switched water sources from Lake Huron to the Flint River in 2014, people in Flint began to experience health problems, such as pregnant women who drank the water would miscarry their babies and increase the risk of cancer.
It was the city officials' idea to switch the water source, not the federal government. So why should they pay for it? That's like cleaning up after your sibling when they make a huge mess, even though you had absolutely nothing to do with it. Obviously, the water isn't safe. If we do something wrong, we have to pay or serve time in jail for our wrongdoing. Well, the city officials should have to pay or serve time in jail for their horrible decisions that have negatively affected the citizens of Flint, Michigan.
When General Motors complained that the water is rusting their car parts, the city changed it for them. So why can't they change that for Flint residents?
Texting is a lot faster than writing a letter. Letters take time. You have to write the letter, go over your spelling, get a stamp, and go to the post office. Now all you have to do with texting is write the text and press send. Although people have been writing letters for centuries, that's not what we do now. We're all texters.
Sending a letter is more efficient because you can go over your spelling versus on a text. You may send your letter, but then you may send your text, and it may have a whole bunch of spelling mistakes in it. Whereas you send a letter, you can go over it and like check your grammar in it. Also, you can draw pictures on a letter and make it more like. And some people keep letters for a really long time.
Right this second, endangered animals are being kept in households all over America. While some people think that this isn't correct for the animals and for the owners should keep these animals as pets because they are about to be extinct, which means that these animals may not be around for the future generations to see.
Having a wild pet is actually a danger for the human and the animal. And just like this fellow team just said right here about the endangered species and the bear, they might seem cuddly as a cub, but they grow up to 1,500 pounds. That's really heavy. Would you want that in your house? Is that really safe for your family? Is that really safe for your kids?
Just put yourself in their shoes. How would you feel if the animals were us and we were the ones about to be extinct? You will want them to save you. You will want them to protect you. You will want them to take you home and care for you, right? Scientists tells us the best way to protect endangered species is to protect the special places where they live. Wildlife must have places to find food, shelter, and raise their young children. Open space like your homes provide animals with a great place to live and enjoy. Support wildlife habitat and open space protection in your community.
Before you bring any animal to your house, you should really do some research on them, because many animals are not meant to be domesticated. Many animals are feral. It can be dangerous to you and your family, not to mention the citizens in your neighborhood. There are also certain animals that need a climate, like I was saying before in our questions. So how can you take care of those animals? In fact, you would be harming them. They would die quickly.
Well, every day in the United States, an average of 289 people are shot. 86 of them died, 30 are murdered, 53 killed themselves. 2 die accidentally, and 1 is shot in a police intervention. Gun control is not all about prohibiting guns. It's about smart gun regulation. Guns are also like fire because you need both responsibility and trust to use it. The wrong person can use both guns and fire as a deadly weapon or injure themselves or someone else by accident.
When you buy a gun, you have to take a class on how to use it so that you won't misfire it. And they do background checks to make sure that you're not mentally unstable and you're not going to shoot yourself in the head or shoot somebody else. And while some people may get their guns and then later become mentally unstable, other people having guns will help stop those people from shooting other people when they become mentally unstable.
In this upcoming election, violence is more commonly seen at Donald Trump's rallies, so that is where most of our information is coming from. And although we do not support or condone the violence that does take place, we do not believe that the candidate should be held responsible.
In fact, 60% of Republicans and 8 out of 10 Trump supporters put the blame of rally violence on protesters, says CBS News.
Violence has happened for years and years, and while I will have to admit that, I believe in our overly violent society today, it has become a lot more savage, might I dare to say. Well, on December 12, 2015, 15th at Donald Trump's rally, there was an announcement played that said, if protesters start demonstrating in the area around you, please do not touch them or harm them, and let the authorities deal with it. Now, at this remark, we might see it as a way for Mr. Trump to de-escalate his supporters, but at this remark, his supporters simply laughed at this remark and were quite violent in their actions towards people that did not agree with their political standpoint.
The only reason a candidate should be held directly accountable for the actions being taken by their supporters would be if they were telling their supporters to go out and be violent, which none of our candidates have actually done.
If Trump tells the people at his rally to beat up black people, should he be held responsible and arrested?
Yes, he should be held responsible because he went and told them to do it. But 90% of these campaign rally violence instances that we've seen has not been because they've gone and said, go do this, go beat up this person, go act violent towards this group of people. How is blaming the candidate helpful in ending the violence?
Well, quite simply, if you alleviate the issue, it's like de-escalating in a prison. If you have a prison fight, and the person who started the fight or riled everyone up, they usually put them in solitary confinement. And that's a good way to de-escalate and take the problem out of the scenario. So quite simply, taking out the loudspeaker that's announcing people, telling people to beat up other people. And like you said, that 90% that there's no issue there, but what about the 10% where there is an issue?
Repeatedly you have stated that no candidate has incited violence at their campaigns. That is incorrect. On Wednesday, a protester escorted out of Trump's rally was sucker punched in the face by an audience member. This was not the first incident in which protesters had been physically attacked. Not even this month. At Republican debates the following night, Trump was asked about the incidents of violence at his rallies, and he blamed the protesters. At a press conference on Friday morning, Trump repeated the same argument he made in the past. He was swinging, he was hitting people, and the audience hit back, Trump said, about an unspecified protester. That's what we need more of. This is why we have problems. We have rhetoric inciting violence from our candidates, and that is their fault. They are putting that information out there. They're inciting their supporters to hit and damage, incite violence, and that is a very big problem, and we need to fix that.
Yes, in a way they have been inciting, but the points that you've brought up have been people directly telling people to do something. Like, if your mom hints at you cleaning your room, like saying your room's kind of dirty, it's different. You know that she's still saying that you probably should clean your room, but that's different than her coming up and telling you, go clean your room. So, rally violence is a serious problem which should be, if not ended, dealt with in a better manner than it has been in the past. Our candidates of the 2016 election are independent people as well as their supporters who are old enough to make their own decisions.
It is completely their own choice to act the way they do, and you can blame the sun for making you sweat, but in the end, it is a reaction that you can't control.
Before you go blaming the candidates, put yourself in their shoes. This is a problem that is too severe for one person to be held accountable, so try to look at the bigger picture before making an accusation.
Every day we wake up should be a day that we give thanks. Some people don't have family to celebrate Thanksgiving with. So if we have a family, we shouldn't need a holiday to appreciate them and spend time with our loved ones. Also, Americans are already eating a lot. We don't need Thanksgiving as an excuse to eat more food.
Not just the United States who celebrates Thanksgiving. Canada, Grenada, Liberia, the UK, and parts of Australia also celebrate Thanksgiving. Not to mention there's festivals much like Thanksgiving in Japan and Germany. But all of them have the main concept of the harvest season and surviving the winter.
I think the government should not pay for college funds because not everybody is cut out for college. Some people would rather go to trade school to learn a skill versus going to college for 4 years to learn math and reading.
If so much money is spent on the military and there's a lot of people poor in America and our military is really strong, why not take $100 billion out of the military.
The government should not pay for college because they have enough to worry about. And spending money for every kid to go to college would not help our economy because currently the government is $18.2 trillion in debt.
They have so much money to spend. Why don't they take a portion, like you said, and put it to education?
Well, we don't have that much money. Like she said, we're $18.2 trillion in debt.
The government spends about quadruple amount of the money on other stuff we basically don't need.
It just doesn't make sense to have the government pay for college. And even though none of you want to have to pay for college, you have to look at the consequences.
Did you know that over 50 million animals are killed per year for their fur, including rabbits, and foxes, and many other animals? Not only is synthetic fur warmer, it also lasts 17% longer.
So there are 50 million animals killed every year. That's a few. But look at the big picture. How many humans need to be clothed? Think of all the refugees. We could just kill animals and give the fur to the refugees. Very simple, very quick, very efficient.
Kids should be allowed to be president because adults think too much. Kids just go with the flow. Half the time when I meet someone, I don't even ask for their name. That's what I mean by kids go with the flow. Just like global warming. All that was caused by adults. Why not give kids a try at president? Should kids be allowed to become presidents? No. If a kid was ever a president, it wouldn't make the best decisions for his or her country. The age is 35, and for a reason. People who are older have more experience in making decisions and working with other people.
A child has different perspectives than adults. They don't see black people or white people, they just see a nation of talented and creative, unique people. Some kids are more responsible than adults because some adults overthink.
Emerging science about brain development suggests that most people don't reach full maturity until they're age 25. Why would you want a president who hasn't reached full maturity yet to rule your nation?